Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki resigned his government on November 13th at the first session of the newly elected Sejm. On that day, Polish President Andrzej Duda tasked him with forming a new cabinet, and behind the scenes, talks with potential coalition partners began. This is a unique opportunity to create a coalition of Polish affairs, a coalition beyond divisions, a coalition beyond parties. The president will appoint a new council of ministers on Monday. The elected government must receive a vote of confidence from the Sejm. The prime minister has until December 11th to deliver an exposé. All constitutional terms will be maintained. Then, within 14 days from the deadline of November 27th, Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki must deliver a speech, but he will talk about the date with the Marshal of the Sejm, Szymon Hołownia. In a recording released yesterday, the Prime Minister asked the Marshal of the Sejm for a meeting to discuss 3 issues he believes should be addressed immediately by deputies: extending the credit vacation, freezing energy prices, and extending 0% VAT on food. The invitation was addressed today by the Marshal of the Sejm. Of course, I invite you to a meeting next week when your status has already been clarified, and we will know whether you are indeed the outgoing prime minister or a candidate for prime minister or already prime minister. The meeting of Confederation politicians with Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki was held today. The formation was the only one to accept the head of government's invitation to a meeting on the coalition of Polish affairs. One of the leaders, Sławomir Mencen, did not appear at the meeting. On the subject of government, it was brief. We reiterated our declaration that there is no chance for a joint government. There is no majority. In addition, we are critical of the government of Mateusz Morawiecki. Prime Minister Morawiecki assured that parliamentarians from various groups, dozens in total, participated in talks to support his new cabinet. We promised, of course, the confidentiality of these negotiations, because it is known that our political competitors would try to blackmail, threaten in such cases. This is already happening, and we want to ensure the safety of our interlocutors. The Sejm passes a vote of confidence by an absolute majority in the presence of at least half of the statutory number of deputies. If the result of the vote is unsuccessful for Prime Minister Morawiecki, then the initiative will be taken by the Sejm, which will elect the Prime Minister and his proposed members of the Council of Ministers within the next 14 days. This scenario of the opposition parties splitting is very likely. However, it seems to me that we should not count on it happening quickly. The candidate of the parties declaring a parliamentary majority is Donald Tusk. The leader of the coalition is confident that his government will be formed on December 13th, the anniversary of martial law. December 13th, which is the day of St. Lucia, a holiday of sun and light, a good date for a good start. Some celebrated by sleeping until noon. Tensions might arise within the coalition of the Third Way, the Civic Coalition, and the Left. The political party, Together, broke out of the coalition and has no intention of being part of the Tusk government. The reason for the decision was the lack of consensus on key programmatic issues. The lack of unanimity may affect the outcome of the parliamentary votes. Therefore, the question is whether what I am assessing today through the prism of internal tensions will be an effective enough structure and formula of state administration to withstand these tests. In the new government, in addition to Donald Tusk, it would include Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz of the PSL as Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of National Defense. From KO, Adam Bodnar, Minister of Justice, Radosław Sikorski, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bartłomiej Sienkiewicz, Minister of Culture and National Heritage, Sławomir Nitras, Minister of Sport and Tourism, and Barbara Nowacka would be the Minister of Education. Donald Tusk will be in a very difficult position because he will have to somehow control this broad coalition, various interests, and political ambitions, and he will want to fulfill it. We will observe. It will depend on whether this will result in any new scenarios, such as early elections or changes in coalitions. It's all an open question. The Decalogue of Polish Affairs is not just a program proposal from the United Right, but a set of demands from other parties as well. Prime Minister Morawiecki has stated that political and cross-party consensus is needed for Poland to move in the right direction. Meanwhile, Donald Tusk said the first step of his government would be to hold the law and justice governments accountable.